Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jared Alster, co-founder here at Dune 7, and welcome to the fourth episode of 7 Minutes With. Today, excited to have with me Professor Dr. Arlt. Professor Dr. Arlt is the founder and the CEO of the China Outbound Tourism Research Institute and is one of the leading experts on the biggest global outbound source market, China. His first visit to mainland China took place in 1978, and he's worked as a tour operator there until 2001. From 2002 to 2020, he held the position of a full-time professor for international tourism management. He has appeared as a keynote speaker for conferences around the world and has been quoted in all major global media. He is also the author of several seminal books around Chinese outbound tourism, and he's a fellow of both the Royal Geographical and the Royal Asiatic Society. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
We appreciate you joining us all the way from Hamburg today. So first of all, though, let's talk about China a bit. So outbound travel from China, of course, still largely restricted. It seems maybe as if things are being relaxed there, at least with the lockdowns. But what, in your expertise, what changes and what behaviors do you think we'll see from the outbound Chinese market once restrictions are actually lifted?
That is a question of which I'm asked quite a lot these times. First of all, really nobody knows exactly when China will open up. That depends on the big political developments in China. It also, of course, is a question of how successful they will be in keeping the virus in bay. But there is a very strong pressure from the demand side. So there are a lot of people in China who urgently want to travel abroad. And also the Chinese government has to pay attention to what especially the important influential people want. And don't forget, traveling is not only about leisure tourism. So it's you have a lot of people who have urgent business meetings. You have grandparents who became grandparents because their Chinese daughter studying in Germany got a baby, and for 2 years they couldn't see their grandchild, so that's what they want to do, and so on. You have people who want to study abroad at universities and not on Zoom, but doing the real thing. So therefore, you will probably have, as soon as the gates open, you will have these people who have other reasons to travel go first, never mind what is the situation. But soon after that, also you will have the leisure travelers starting again. And clearly from the research we did, other people did, there are major changes in the way that in this 3 years of domestic tourism in China, the Chinese have developed a much more interest in nature. So camping, glamping, so glamour camping, caravanning, but also hiking and trekking have become big attractions. Also going to smaller places, because they had 3 years time to exchange information among each other and dreaming of places. So they don't dream to go back to Paris or to New York City for that matter, rather go to smaller places where they have not been and where maybe not so many other Chinese people have been to. Also clearly the time of the package tour is over. So this caricature of 45 Chinese in a coach, jumping out, taking a photo, eating some Chinese food, jumping back. This one survey said 7% of the Chinese say that's what they want to do. So I think one of the changes you can see is that a lot of Chinese travelers are not saying which destination should I visit, but I want to do this activity. What is the place to go to?
It's more around the experience versus the destination, which I think is, a larger trend that we're seeing everywhere. Yeah, that makes sense. So you were talking about the Chinese and the lack of the tour model in terms of what do they actually want to experience these days? And you recently wrote an article for FocusWire, which I thought was very, very fascinating. And you mentioned that your view is that you think that tour operators, and not all tour operators, but some operators, are losing their relevance. So as customers become able to patch together different elements of a trip, and they've become increasingly savvy in planning trips, in the digital age, which isn't no longer really a term because we've been in it for so long. But how should operators, if that's your view, how do operators think about adding value for this modern day sort of customer or traveler that doesn't want that package element anymore?
Clearly, as you said, more and more Chinese have travel experience from the last decade, and well, they know how to use Booking.com, and then they know how to book air tickets themselves. And in many countries, the industry has been very slow in offering adapted products, offering products for the different sections of the source market, China, because there was very much a one-size-fits-all approach. And the Chinese have been less and less happy with that already in 2018, 2019. And now they will be even more happy with that. So therefore, if you just offer a normal sightseeing tour to the main destinations, the main cities, they say, well, I'm not interested, or I can do this myself. When it comes to the Chinese market, so the Chinese are still this kind of mystical group, and they're all put together.
Yeah,
and
not a monolith, right?
One example, there's always a question. Some people say the Chinese always want to eat Chinese food, but some other people say no, they are very keen on tasting the local food.
Sure.
Which one is true? And the answer, of course, is both is true.
Both, right.
Understand the segmentation of the market and shape your products according to what these people want.
Yeah,
is the first step. And the second step is also to offer things you cannot organize as a tourist easily by yourself.
Sorry, Professor. I quickly want to ask you the last question here because we're almost out of time. Also in that same article in Focus Wire, you're talking about sustainable travel, which obviously has blossomed into this sort of subsector on its own. In your opinion, how do brands actually get there? And also, who is actually doing a good job of that today? So
we have developed something which we call hedonic sustainability. So basically saying, let's look at it from a positive point of view, not just from what you're not supposed to do or what you have to be ashamed of. So this flight shaming and all this stuff, but look at it, try to align the interests of all the stakeholders, and including the staff working at the companies, which is now a big problem everywhere, so that they are also happy with their job and with what they're doing. So hedonic sustainability as an answer, how to make sure that everybody gets what he or she wants. If some companies who have been going down this road, especially in Asia, you have some hotel groups where, for instance, when they start to like Jetwings, when they start to build a new hotel resort, that they go there before they even start building and start to educate and to train the local people so that they can have local staff working in their place and not having the excuse, well, the local people are not trained. Well, train them. Or where you have really hotels. We just came from a conference where we had this discussion that for a hotel group like IHG or Hilton and so on, of course, it is much cheaper if you do your sourcing globally. So you buy your honey and your cauliflowers from a company all over the world, but that it is so much more interesting for the customers if you can say, okay, for the breakfast, you have a little booklet where you tell people, where is the bread coming from? Where's the honey coming from? Where's the sausage coming from and the cheese? And then tell them, well, these are little shops in our city, and you can go there and you can buy actually stuff there. Yep. So thereby I think the biggest problem is simply to get to give people a sense of the place they're in. Well, thank you so much. We're out of time, so I will let you go, but I really appreciate you joining us today, and I look forward to staying in touch. Same here. Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, thank you. Bye. Bye-bye, Professor.